Season 22 just dropped, bringing all kinds of new lore, new activities, and of course, sweet loot. So today we're going to break down every weapon from the Season 22 activities and what roles you want to hunt for and craft for both PvP and PvE. If you enjoy these kind of guides, don't forget to subscribe for more in the future. Starting with a weapon that I'm enjoying from this season so far, we've got Kept Confidence, a Strand 140 RPM hand cannon. 140s are a quintessential PvP tool, so anytime I see a new one, especially a craftable 140, I'm immediately curious as to what it can bring to the table, especially since the range changes this season really helped out hand cannons as a whole. Unfortunately, Kept Confidence really only has a few viable PvP traits. That said, I don't know why, but this hand cannon just feels right to use, more than it has any business. There's just something about the recoil that feels easy to manage, easy to land those follow-up shots, and despite a terrible roll that I've been using, the range also reached much further than I anticipated. To get the most out of this hand cannon for PvP, I think your best choice is going to be either Quick Draw in Eye of the Storm or Killing Wind in Eye of the Storm. Quick Draw's snappy instant weapon switching always feels great, but I think there might be value in Killing Wind a little bit more. Killing Wind grants range, handling, and mobility after getting a kill, and also increased fall-off damage. Now combine that with Eye of the Storm, which increases your accuracy as your health gets lower, and I think you've got a perfect storm of high-risk, high-reward gunplay. Odds are, in any duel, you're going to take some damage, granting accuracy from Eye of the Storm, and if you're lucky, you land that kill in that duel, and now you're still low health, and you've just stacked the bonuses of Killing Wind on top of that for your next duel. It's certainly risky to re-engage with low health, but your hand cannon's going to be a stat monster crit machine when you do. I'm very curious to give this roll a shot. Sometimes with hand cannons, they don't look great on paper, but they just feel right on your hands, and I gotta say, the little bit of testing I did, it felt very comfortable to land shot after shot with Kept Confidence. Really liked it. Now for PvE, you've got a couple more options. Stats for All or Killing Wind are nice stat bonuses for PvE, just makes it more comfortable or a more potent option. Killing Wind really extends your reach. Add multi-kill clip or a collective action, which buffs your damage on elemental pickups, and I think you'll be cooking. Because don't forget, Bungie just gave hand cannons a massive buff, 20% extra damage versus red bar enemies and 75% versus orange bars. You can really feel the difference. Tag a few targets, reload for multi-kill clip, and burn down a major. It works surprisingly well for a primary weapon. I tried this same roll with my Exalted Truth earlier this week, and it felt great in PvE. Potent, rangy, really solid. Next up is Locus, Locus, an adaptive stasis sniper. Personally, my new favorite combination on snipers is Keep Away and Opening Shot. Both of those perks dipping into accuracy bonuses, resulting in your sniper just feeling so accurate. It just grabs shots for you. I crafted this exact roll on Distant Pole last season, and I just can't get enough of it. I ended up enhancing both traits. The accuracy buffs are just crazy, and to me, there's nothing more important than making your shots count in high-level play. I don't care how much handling you have if you miss. And these perks are going to help you land your shots. So that's my PvP recommendation. Keep Away and Opening Shot. Lots of aim assist, and with this sniper sitting at 40 zoom, it's a very comfortable zoom level that allows you to track and snap to your enemies very easily on almost every map scenario. Not too zoomed in, but also not a 35 zoom sniper that falls short in the longest lanes. This sniper would honestly be a great choice if you're not a comfortable sniper and you want to learn. Very accessible, has great perks overall. For PvE, who cares? Snipers aren't really that great. Overflow and Firing Line for an overloaded mag and extra damage could be nice in Nightfalls or something. Otherwise, I don't see a lot to work with here. Maybe you could try Discord since that refunds ammo while it's active. Could be interesting if you're trying to conserve ammo. Also, if you're enjoying this video so far, I'd be thrilled if you left a like and subscribe for my next videos. I also do live streaming. Next up is the high impact solar fusion rifle, the Aeromite. To be blunt, Aeromite looks pretty weak in PvP. In the energy slot, you'll be competing with Loaded Question, Iterative Loop, and other formidable fusion rifles, so Aeromite just doesn't really look that great against the competition. There really isn't a single trait that jumps out to me. Maybe Heal Clip for healing on reload and Elemental Capacitor for better stats, but I mean, Heal Clip just really isn't impressing so far though. PvE, however, is a different story. Right in there in the second column, you'll find Reservoir Burst, which grants 25% extra damage on the first shot of the mag, which also explodes enemies on final blows. Great for ad clear, and not too bad for dealing damage against majors and bosses. Fine trait on its own, made even better when you complement it with Envious Assassin, which can overflow the magazine, meaning that every shot past the standard capacity also receives the extra 25% explosive damage from Reservoir Burst. You could even sub out Reservoir Burst for Controlled Burst, granting 20% more damage and 10% faster charge speed if you keep landing all your bolts. Controlled Burst is probably a little bit better in dealing more damage in scenarios where you dump the entire mag or just can't reliably overflow the magazine. Either way, you can't really go wrong, and the Aeromite makes for a great substitute if you struggle to get a good roll on Loaded Question, or just needed something to fill in a role for a solar build or something. Speaking of builds, I think our next weapon, Briars Love, is going to fit some Void builds pretty well. This 180 Void Scout Rifle has traits that'll be top tier in endgame content like Grandmasters, where you gotta keep your distance a little more. For builds, destabilizing rounds is probably the way to go, so kills can spread volatile. If you've already built in a volatile though, you can definitely spec into more classic workhorse style traits like explosive payload for the overall bump in damage, or frenzy, or even golden tricorn. All those are going to provide very familiar damage buffs that would serve you well in a variety of content spaces. Even shoot to loot in the first column there is going to be really handy in Grandmaster Nightfalls, where you're not always going to be able to safely retrieve ammo. Rapid hit is also a favorite of mine, granting stability and reload as you land shots. It's just easy to proc and is useful no matter what kind of content you're playing. Now for PvP, I've got a few traits that you may want to check out. The first one to me kind of looks like the ultimate mid-range dueling weapon. No distractions and explosive payload. No distractions reduces flinch after a short period of aiming down sights, and explosive payload delivers extra flinch to your opponents, among other benefits. So right here you have a double dipping effect where you're dealing more and receiving less flinch. It's a beautiful synergy that's really worth exploring. I have a role with just explosive payload, and it really seemed to help when engaging snipers. Usually when I step into a lane with a primary and see that red glint of death, it's panic time. But Briars Love with explosive payload seemed to do a good job throwing off the enemy sniper's aim. But if you want to mix it up, you can also try the classics in the first column with Keep Away or Perpetual Motion. Both of those are going to provide pretty helpful stat bumps to a weapon that kind of needs it in those areas. Moving on to our 5th seasonal weapon, we've got Emiliadic Principle, an Arc rapid fire machine gun. Machine guns have been on the rise over the last year or so, receiving some damage tuning and ammo economy buffs, so they're a little more viable in PvE than you might assume. Rapid fires can be a little bit unruly to just lay on the trigger with, so I kind of like the look of either Zen Moment or heating up to increase your stability and ease of use. For the second column, you've got 2 solid options. Target Lock for a damage buff when sustaining fire, which is perfect for majors and champions, or if you're interested in a little more setup but a little more reward, Golden Tricorn. Tricorn grants 15% more damage after a kill and 50% for 10 seconds if you follow that up with an ability kill, which isn't really that difficult to do in PvE. 50% is a pretty hefty damage buff on really any weapon. If you do want to try this thing in PvP, I'd probably say moving target for improved aim assist and then tap the trigger for even more accuracy and stability on the first few rounds. Considering you don't have a ton of ammo in PvP, it's probably better to spec into mods that benefit you up front instead of after kills. And lastly, for our 6th and final seasonal weapon, we have Mutation, a strand high impact frame rocket launcher. If you aren't interested in damage combos and swapping weapons and all that stuff, you want to just fire, reload, and unload rocket after rocket, then field prep for fast reloads and better reserves plus explosive light for more damage after orb pickups is probably the play. Easy, reliable, efficient. Otherwise, you could lean into an ad clear role with bipod and impulse amplifier. Maybe not the most efficient, but it's pretty fun in low stakes activities. Overall, these weapons are not too hard to get, but with the amount of loot coming at you, sometimes it's just nice to get a breakdown of what's worth looking for. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, I'll be making many more for season 22, as well as shorts and live streams. We've been doing a lot of live streams lately, and it's been great. We run through activities, hang out with chat, have a great time, so definitely subscribe if you want to catch those. Usually you can find me live rather late in the evening. Lastly, I just introduced some small channel memberships with some cool benefits that you may want to check out in case you want to support the channel. Anyways, always appreciated. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you guys next time.